Unit 5 is really, really one of the most important units in this book. It is infection control and prevention. With this past year with COVID, the big surge for infection control measures has been amplified to cajillion, right? I don't think that's a word, but hey, I'm going with it. Now, basically, infection control, remember, we need to reduce the number of pathogens that cause disease, right? A pathogen is a microorganism that causes a disease. Now, we have microorganisms all throughout our body, right? But the problem is when a microorganism is somewhere it shouldn't be, right? Then it can cause disease. Remember that elderly people are going to have a weakened immune system. And so we really have to make sure we try and keep the areas and our hands and all the personal items as clean and free of pathogens as much as possible. Now, an infection that somebody gets in a facility or a hospital is called a nosocomial infection. Now, it's kind of spelled like no social at the beginning. So you don't get it when you're being social, you get it when you're in a facility or a hospital. Now, the state of Kansas has not updated this term. The term is actually now called an HAI, and all capital, and that stands for Healthcare Associated Infection. Or, I'm sorry, yes, yeah. So nosocomial is an HAI. Now, when we're talking about infection control in a nursing home, we want to prevent people from getting sick. We want to prevent cross-infection, right? The spread from person to person. We got people living in the same rooms, eating in the same dining rooms. And so we want to prevent cross-infection. And then we also want to prevent reinfection. Now, what I compare this to is, say mom of the family comes home sick with the stomach flu. And she has diarrhea and she's vomiting and she's sick for a few days, and then she's not even well yet, and Junior gets it, and then sister gets it, and all of a sudden dad gets it. Well, who takes care of everybody? Mom does, right? So mom gets sick again because she has never really gotten well, and then she gets sick and starts vomiting and having diarrhea again. We call that reinfection. So we want to prevent infections, we want to prevent cross infections, and we want to prevent people from being reinfected, right? Now, we already said that a pathogen is a microorganism that causes disease. Now, there are 4 different types of pathogens: bacteria, virus, fungi, and parasites. That one always makes my head itch. Scabies and lice, that one. Now, the environment the pathogens like to live in is warm, dark, moist, right? And then they need food. So, unfortunately, we're the food. Warm, dark, moist. Where do you think places it's warm are there on the body that it's warm, dark, moist? Any crease, right? Our underarms, our groin area, our perineum, right? Under a woman's breast or under your belly or your bottom, right? All these things are warm, dark, moist places. So these are areas we need to make sure we're getting clean and dry every time we're doing pericare or we are giving them a shower or a bed bath. It's really important that we make sure those areas are clean and dry. Now, there are 5 different ways that pathogens are transmitted. One is direct contact. If we cough or sneeze in our hand, we're directly touching the mucus that comes out of our mouth and nose. If somebody's pooped and we touch the poop, even with gloves on, we're directly touching it. Or somebody has a sore on their leg and we touch it. That's direct contact. Now, if I sneeze in my hand and I grab the Lysol wipes and put all that stuff that I just sneezed on my hand, and the next person comes in the room and grabs the wipes, they can get my germs off of a surface. Now, this is called indirect, right? This is indirectly transferred. You get something off a surface, right? So that's why it's important we're using these Clorox wipes or Lysol wipes. We've got to disinfect areas because pathogens can live on areas. The next way is droplet spread. Now, droplet is, they have found when we talk, sneeze, or cough, our droplets from our nose and our mouth can go 6 feet, right? So this is where our COVID precautions comes in, right? Originally, COVID was spread by droplet spread. So that's why the mask help and personal distancing, right? Because our droplets can go 6 feet. So if we're 6 feet apart and it's droplet spread, it's going to decrease the spread, right? So that's droplet spread. The next one is airborne. Now, airborne is just breathing out in the air pathogens, right? Now, that's where our Delta variants comes in with COVID. They feel like it is more airborne spread, and that's why it can be a lot more contagious. With other things that are spread by airborne are things like measles, right? Chicken pox, varicella, which is chicken pox or shingles, tuberculosis. When they're in active tuberculosis, we want them in a pressurized room that's constantly filtering that air because it is that contagious. That's why COVID in the hospitals now, people are wearing I always call it looks like a spacesuit to me. A complete face mask with a circulating air circulator, right? Because it is airborne spread, the new variants. And so that's what makes it more contagious. The next way pathogens are spread are vehicle spread. So a vehicle spread is when you take something into the body that is contaminated. Now, this is when we have food recalls. It's usually because the food is contaminated. Things like we had romaine lettuce recalled not that long ago, and it was because they found E. coli on it. Bluebell had Clostridium in their ice cream, and it killed multiple people. Chipotle shut down for a while because their food was tainted with E. coli. Botulism is another one. You know, we wash our hands well when we use chicken because botulism is a pathogen that can make you very sick. Now, it's very important that, you know, we use good hand washing, and it is the standard, the most effective way to break the chain of infection is washing your hands, right? And we'll go into that in more detail here shortly. Now, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, they look after employees and patients' residents, right? And they set forth standard precautions. I'm old school. When I started, we called them universal precautions, but they've since changed it to standard precautions. Standard precautions are to be used on every resident. When we say standard precautions, we're basically saying we're treating every body fluid as if it's infected, even if you can't see blood, right? It can hold pathogens. People may not know they have a disease, but their body fluids will still pass it on. So anytime we come in contact with bodily fluids, we need to be wearing PPE, which is personal protective equipment. Now, they also put forth transmission-based precautions. Old school, we called it isolation. And that is, we isolate people or keep people in a contained area to prevent the spread of a disease. And it's based on the type of pathogen or the type of disease that the resident has. Now remember that body fluids that can carry pathogens are blood-borne pathogens, are carried by blood. All body secretions and excretions except one. Have any guesses? It's actually sweat. They say that sweat doesn't hold enough pathogens to cause disease. Besides, it's very acidic and pathogens don't like to live in it. Non-intact skin, broken skin, and our mucous membrane, our nose and our mouth. Now, let's talk about washing your hands. I already said it's the single most important way to break the chain of infection. I can't stress that enough. Let's talk about the steps. You're going to turn on warm water, right? Wet all your hands. You're going to get soap, and you're going to wash all surfaces in between the fingers, back of the hands, right? All the way up the wrist. Now, taking off your jewelry is good and better when you're washing your hands. Also, you know, girls, how we put a rubber band or an extra pony on our wrist, get those off there because pathogens can live under there. So we'll wash our hands. Now, this is where the state of Kansas hasn't caught up with the CDC as well, because CDC recommends we wash our hands or we scrub our hands for 20 seconds, right? For your CNA state test, though, I want you to remember 15 to 30 seconds, okay? Because they still have that on the state test, 15 to 30 seconds. So we've done that. Next thing we're going to do is rinse, and we want our hands down, right? We don't want it like this because the pathogens and the water is going to go up our arms. After we've rinsed all the soap off, we're going to get a paper towel and we're going to dry our hands, right? Then we're going to throw that paper towel away and get a new paper towel and shut off the water. And then we can use that paper towel also to open the door. It's important that you're washing your hands anytime you touch the resident, anytime you smoke, anytime you go to the bathroom, anytime you take the resident to the bathroom, before and after feeding residents. Just anytime you would wash your hands, don't forget to wash their hands. I can't stress how important that is. We take that totally for granted. One of the worst things I had happen in the clinic was I would hate when nursing homes transfer aides would bring residents to a doctor's office, and I worked at a specialist office, and drop them off. Sometimes they couldn't talk. There was nobody with them. Literally, they would come and they'd have breakfast on their face, food on their face and their clothing. Their hands were dirty. Their fingernails looked like there was a week worth of poop in them. I mean, they'd be black. Their hair would be uncombed. Their clothes would not match. I kid you not. One day, this lady had on a pink shirt and green grass pants. Look at these people. Why would you go out to the public looking like that? My doctors always hated it because I'm the one in there washing their face and their hands, combing their hair, doing their nails because I couldn't handle it. Look at your residents, guys. If you wash your hands, wash theirs. If their face is dirty, wash it. If their shirt's dirty, change it. Right? There's no reason for them to go out in public or even to the dining room or activities looking like that. Look at your residents. Dignity and respect. Now, hand sanitizer is great. And it is, important that we have it because it's easy access. But the truth of the matter is hand sanitizer does not kill everything. Right? So it should not replace totally washing your hands. Now, we had foam things by the door at the clinic, and so we'd foam in, foam out, right? And so that means that we could just use hand sanitizers when we went in and when we came out of the room, right? But if we're touching residents, we need to be using soap and water. Hand sanitizer has to be rubbed till it's dry. I know there's one dispenser and I feel like I get half a cup of hand sanitizer every time I use it. And I'm rubbing and I'm rubbing and I'm rubbing. But the important thing, we have to rub it till it's dry, because what we're doing is we're loosening the pathogens and we're causing the alcohol in the hand sanitizer to evaporate, right? And it takes those pathogens off. Okay? Now, it's important to note that hand sanitizer does not kill everything. You're going to see a C. diff video on this. I love it, the C. diff rap. Make sure you watch it. But C. diff is one of those that isn't killed by hand sanitizer. So you got to make sure you're washing your hands. Now, PPE is personal protective equipment. We're very familiar with it now. Everybody is. Used to be we wore a mask only when people were in isolation. Now it's a everyday occurrence. In a nursing home, you're going to be wearing a mask. A lot of times your whole shift, unless you're off the floor. Unfortunately, COVID has taught us a new norm for that, right? We need to make sure that we're using PPE though. Gloves, gowns, masks. Usually if somebody needs PPE or they're on transmission-based precautions, there's a cabinet outside the door or hanging on the door with the PPE in it. Make sure you're using it. I literally had an aide tell one of my students, "Oh, you put it on, you're supposed to." I'm not going to. No! If it's there, use it. All right? There's no if and what's about it, right? Wear the PPE. Now, remember that gloves are the last thing to go on when you're putting your PPE on, because you want them to be the cleanest, correct? But they're also usually the first thing that comes off, because they're usually the dirtiest. The other thing is when we're handling linens, soiled clothing, briefs, we always roll them into themselves, fold them inside the dirty end, right? And we put them in a trash bag and we take them out. We never hug linens, dirty, clean, either way, right? Because we don't want to get stuff on us, or we don't want to put anything on clean linens that's from us, right? That might be on our clothing. Now, my horror story about this is I had my second nursing home I worked at broke out in scabies. So if you don't know what a scabie is, it's a little parasite that burrows circles under your skin and lays its eggs. It's extreme itchy. And so we had to de-scabie people. So 1 2 to 10 shift, we spent the whole shift doing showers, head to toe showers in this medicated shampoo. And you have to do that on day 1 and day 7, changing all the sheets, bagging everything up in trash bags. And so I think we wore gloves, but I don't remember really wearing a gown or anything. I went and picked up my 16-month-old, popped her on my hip, from daycare, went home. Yeah, you know where she broke out in scabies first? Right inside her legs, where she had been on my scrubs. So I literally took the scabies home with me, right? Now, later in this unit, there's a lady that talks about taking her scrubs off and her shoes off. It's really serious, guys. Take your uniforms off, put them in the laundry. Take your shoes off. Sometimes you can carry an extra pair of shoes or some slides to put on your feet after you leave a facility, because you're going to be walking through pee and poop and blood and vomit, right? Keep a pair of slides. Put your shoes in a grocery sack in your trunk so that you're not spreading that stuff around. It's really important. Now, remember, when people are in isolation, that they still need care, right? It may be scarier and it's intense, but imagine what it is to them when everybody's coming in full gear, like they're something, like they're inferior or they're disgusting, right? So treat them with the same dignity and respect you would if they weren't in isolation. Also, know your facility's policies and procedures for each type of precautions. Um, know that pre-COVID, you might have seen somebody walking in the grocery store with gloves and a mask, right? Now it's more common, but pre-COVID, people would wear a mask and gloves if they have an immune problem. If somebody's going through chemotherapy, it wipes out their white blood cells, right? And it makes them more prone to infection. Somebody on the steroids, a lot of steroids, they don't have the ability to fight disease. And so they will put themselves in reverse isolation. And they make it so they don't get sick, right? With their weakened immune system, they're more prone to be sick. So you may see that with nursing home residents that due to their weakened immune system, we need to isolate them to keep them safe. Now, remember, if you're doing something and you're in the middle of a procedure and you realize you forgot something, make sure your resident is safe, right? Don't leave that bed in high position. Lower the bed. Correct what you need. Get new gloves, get new wipes, whatever you need. Stop and fix it. It's better than just, oh, I'll just do it right the next time. You're still going to be exposed to those pathogens. You need to break that chain of infection. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. That's how I'm going to end this one. Talk to you later. Bye.